Hey guys, does capitalism have you down?
Does the constant pressure to be productive get to you?
Are you tired of being a cog in the machine?
Then we invite you to be a part of the revolution against toxic productivity by embracing the useless things.
Welcome to episode 39 of the Very Unimportant People podcast.
Do less.
I'm your host, Courtney, and this week I took my cat for an adventure to the top of a mountain.
Aw, so cute. And I'm your host, Lidia, and this week I came up with a brand new life hack on how to heat your pita.
This one's good, guys. This one, everyone, open your ears.
Okay, let me walk
Put your listening ears on. Take them out of your pocket, put them on, and listen.
Pay attention. Okay, so what you're going to do is, so you know how the oven takes a really long time to heat up? It's just so inconvenient. Instead of waiting for the oven to heat up because you want a warm pita, what you do is you put it on top of the toaster and you put down both of the toasters, even though there's no toast in it. But the heat from the toaster rises up into the pita and heats it up. And then you can flip it and do the same thing on the other side and do like a little maneuver to like get a bunch of little places warm. And yeah, it's kind of perfect. I know. It was just kind of an amazing life hack. Yeah, I was really proud of myself.
How did you figure this out?
I was being really lazy. I just didn't want to put it in the oven.
Lazy people will figure everything out.
Yeah. I was like, what else can I possibly do? And then I just put it on top of the toaster and kind of went for it because I was thinking that I didn't have a toaster oven. And if I did have a toaster oven, then that would be super convenient because you could put whatever you want in a toaster oven. And I was like, but I do have a toaster. And that's kind of where the thought came from. DIY toaster oven with an actual toaster. So it was, I think that was a pretty solid life hack. Someone told me that I could have just put it on a pan and heated it up that way. In my opinion, still too much work. Pans are heavy.
Like, put the pan on top of the toaster?
No, put the pan on the oven. Like, put the pan on the stovetop.
But you didn't want to turn on the oven.
The oven was I meant the stovetop. Yeah. And then just putting the pita on the pan on the oven. Right, yeah, but in my mind, that was still kind of a long process, and I feel like that would still kind of take up a lot of time. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't have put, probably anything down. I probably would have just put it back into the thing, which is worse for my family, too, because then it's like, who knows what's been on that pan? You're supposed to have a clean pan when it comes out of the cabinet. But instead, you just got pita crumbs on it. I don't know. So, yeah, if you guys don't have a toaster oven, there's a life hack for you. I was pretty proud.
Coming at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
that wisdom.
No problem. Tell us about Zola.
All right, little Zola, my little adventure cat. She's been begging to go outside for a while, and I really want to make her into one of those hiking adventure cats. So I decided that sick. This week was the week. So after work, I put her in her little backpack. And it's not a very good cat backpack. It's not one of those ones that's glass and then they can see out. It's literally just more like a car seat, and the top of it is open. So she could probably jump out. So it's a little scary. It has a little hook where it hooks onto her harness. But I also feel she could jump out and then just get caught on the harness. So it's, you know, we're working with it. Anyways, so. Yeah, we put her in the car, and I was like, maybe this is not going to go so well, because, the second we got in the car, she started, shaking. And I was like, all right, well, she's already stressed. But then, we got to the top of the mountain. I sat in the car with her for a little bit with the window down. She just, looked around, and she started to, calm down a bit. So I took her out, and we, went to a picnic bench, and then we sat down, and she, hid beside us in a little ball for, 10 minutes. And then eventually decided that it was okay, that she wasn't going to die. And then she came right out of her shell. We were walking on the little trail. She was running after me. Yeah. It was so cute. We got so many weird lugs. But I had a lot of fun. It was so cute.
That's what life is all about.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah. She was a little scared of the doggos, but you know what?
Ooh,
it's a work in progress.
I didn't think of the dogs. Yeah. What did she do when there was dogs around?
Oh, she just sat there. She just froze. And it's the same strategy that she has for Salem, her older cat sister. When Salem's on the prowl, she just goes into a little ball and stares at her and just freezes. She won't move. So we just had to stand there and just wait until she was done.
Statue.
And it works. Because she's so small. That, like,
so
especially the dogs, they were like, oh, they didn't, dogs are dumb, I think, because
they didn't even notice.
Like, aren't they supposed to be able to smell those things? None of the dogs, yeah.
They just don't care.
And then nice. when we got home, she proceeded to sit by the front door at 3:00 in the morning and scream for an hour because she wanted to go back outside at 3 a.m. when it's dark. So that was fun.
She has no concept of time. It's totally okay.
Like, time to go back.
She's an indoor cat. She doesn't know it's nighttime. She thinks nighttime only happens inside, and outside is always daytime and always fun. That's adorable. Oh my god, I'm so happy for you. Ignore all the people giving you weird looks.
Thanks. I was like,
they
you're walking
are just
your dog.
Jealous. Yeah.
Why are you giving me a weird look? I'm just walking my cat. Look the other way,
you have a dog on a leash, sir. Dog on a string.
Dog on the end of a string.
Yeah, like, think about that for a second.
Come
on. That's so cute. I'm sure they were just, like, shocked. They're like, wow, normally we see dogs. Cats.
What is that?
It's becoming the norm. There's a lot of people who are doing it. So I think that eventually, like, you're a trailblazer right now. You're doing the work that a lot of people don't want to put in. You're the early adapter of the catwalkers, you know?
They're going to write about me in the history books.
Yeah, exactly. How the cat harness took over the world. Aww.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, guys, now is the time of the podcast where we talk about the poll from last week. The poll is every Wednesday/Thursday on our Instagram at very.unimportant.people. Best way to interact with us. So make sure you get on there and vote in our polls. So last week, as you may or may not remember, we talked about panspermia and lizard people. On theme, as usual. Yeah. Like, I love it. Let's go. So the first question on the poll was, is it possible there was an alien Bezos who we owe our existence to? And 100% of you said yes.
100% of you?
Damn. You guys are crazy.
I love the support. I gotta believe that. Not all of you listen to the podcast, but I appreciate that you just support us without any context. Love that.
Yes. It's really sweet.
All right. And the next question is, do you believe in the existence of lizard people? Which 100% of you also said yes to? I love that.
No, they said no.
What? Oh, no.
100% said no.
Oh. That's awkward for us. But, I mean, that's some logical reasoning. It sounds like you guys are rational people who are not easily sucked into conspiracy theories. So,
love that.
Good for you. Good for you. We got a good following here.
The next one was, is putting bacteria on the ISS in space to see if it'll survive bullying or science? This one was 50-50. Some people think it's bullying. Some people think it's good for science.
Are they the same thing? Maybe science is just bullying.
Maybe science is just bullying everything.
Science is really manipulative.
Good point.
Like, it's always manipulating a situation.
Yeah, to try to get the outcome that they want.
Yeah.
So
that's very toxic of you, science.
It's gaslighting the bacteria, to be honest.
The next question was, would civilization be better off if lizard people took over? Now, none of you believed that this conspiracy theory was real, but 100% of you believe that society would be better off if lizard people took over. So I appreciate that. People don't do a good job at leading. I think that's pretty obvious. Go work, people. Go work.
And finally, have you heard of the water bear? Or the tardigrades? Or the... Oh, it's called Moss Piglet, but I wrote Miss Piglet.
Miss Piglet.
50-50!
Yeah!
Yay! It's so cute. And there were so many cute little stickers for the
I like the one with the hat.
Piglet.
He's, like, dancing.
I know. It's so fucking cute.
Adorable. Love it.
Thank you so much for participating in the polls this week, you guys. Make sure you participate in the polls next week as well. And yeah, we got a great episode for you. Stay tuned. TTYL. Bye.
Bye. Shall we get into opinions?
Let's do it.
All right. I am kicking it off this week. And this week, I'm going back to our roots a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is straight opinion. Absolutely zero fact. Like,
love it.
I have not done a single episode since our first episode where I have not even opened a Google search page.
Nice.
And that was this week. Like, there is no fact in here. This is all opinion.
I'm so excited.
All right. So my opinion is that Gen Zs / millennials / zillennials, but I'm going to refer to them as Gen Zs, are prepared to trigger the apocalypse. They will survive the fall of society, but they will not survive life after. No. Okay.
This is such a strong.
This is
I can't believe. How did you come up with like this? Is insane.
I will tell you
how you came up with this.
I will tell you how I came up with this once we get to the end of it. Okay.
Okay.
Because it's gonna give away some of my points at the end if I tell you now.
Yeah.
But I will tell you how I came up with it. But
love it. Little
first, I need to preface this very much with when I say Gen Z, I'm talking very specifically about in your head, like the TikTok Gen Z, like cancel culture Gen Zs.
Okay.
That's who I'm talking about in the Western world of the colonial settler population. Okay. I'm just prefacing that. So when I refer to Gen Z, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're very much using like a generic kind of staple of the Gen Z, just the Gen Z that we see, which is unfortunately the loudest ones, sometimes are the most cringy. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. So first, we're going to talk about the fact that Gen Z is fucking ruthless, okay? Ooh.
They're a very unique and very confusing generation. And, we are kind of part of the generation. we're zillennials, so we're, straddling too. So, when I say they, I also partially mean we, but partially not sometimes.
Yeah. It's nice being in the middle.
Yeah, it's nice being in the middle. Yeah. When they compliment you, you can be like, oh, thanks. Yeah,
I know, our generation is so amazing. And when they're like, damn, your generation.
So we can be like, yeah, you're right.
I don't know those guys.
All right, so they're super confusing because they'll verbally assault a boomer with no hesitation for being racist, homophobic, sexist. Just verbally assault them.
Jesus Christ.
They have a vocabulary that no one can understand.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a secret language.
A cult.
We will find out. A cult, if you will. They're all depressed and anxious, but at the same time, probably the most self-reflective and self-aware generation that there is.
Yeah,
so they're all mentally ill, but they're all also really mentally well, which is confusing.
Sometimes those things go hand in hand.
I guess so. They'll use their own bodies as shields for other people. They'll pick up tear gas bombs and throw them at literal cops, but they're too scared to ask for ketchup at the restaurant. It's just they're both the meanest and most intimidating generation ever, yet the kindest and softest generation there is.
Yeah.
And it's very...
But they won't yell at a service worker ever. Ever.
No. You're a vegetarian, they serve you meat, they're like, that's okay. I'm eating meat today.
They're like, it's fine, I'll starve. It's really not your fault. I know you're only working for minimum wage.
All right, so now that we know a little bit about Gen Zs, let's talk about the trigger / the fall of society or the apocalypse. And now this is if climate change doesn't kill us first.
Right.
There's always that possibility. So Gen Zs are huge disruptors. They're really challenging the status quo and norms and structures and institutions in society. We know about cancel culture. They started that. They're out there protesting. They're out there yelling at the boomers for stupid shit.
Yeah.
They're very aware and very passionate about their value and their worth. They're resisting capitalist structures, racist structures, sexist structures, refusing to value monetary value over life and enjoyment.
Okay.
Refusing hate, refusing to blame scapegoats,
Yes.
As we were talking about last week, how sometimes a society just chooses a group and decides to blame that group.
Yeah.
Gen Zs choose the government instead and decide to blame the government, and
which is fair.
Yeah. Okay. Also, going back to the fact that a lot of Gen Zs have crippling mental health issues, and the fact that Gen Zs have grown up in a world where we have been very aware of the fact that there's a strong chance that we might not survive our whole lives because of the climate crisis, and that we'll have to work forever, and that we'll never be able to retire, and that we'll never be able to buy a home. Like, these are all very depressing things to grow up in. So Gen Z as a generation has like very little to lose. Very little to lose. And a whole lot to gain. Like everything to gain, nothing to lose. Like, what do we have left for us in this like world?
That's nothing. A really solid point.
Working a 9-to-5 for not enough pay, struggling from paycheck to paycheck, not having any leisure time. Like, there's nothing left for us here.
Yeah. There's no happiness. It's just rage. It's just anger. Anger at the system.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, in my head, I have no doubt that with enough pressure, Gen Z will, like, overthrow our world order without a second thought. They're ready. They're out there fighting, you know, they want to live in this world. I agree with them. They're awake, they're fed up, and they're passionate. And they got nothing. They really have nothing to lose.
Yeah, definitely. They're just going to watch the world burn and be totally happy with it. Damn.
Yeah, so that's why I think that they will, like, be able to overthrow society.
Yeah,
and now
change the structures. Change the way people see things.
Exactly.
For fall a new generation.
Fall of capitalism.
Do you think it's going to happen like recent times or like in a little bit? Because there's still a lot of people who like love the structure and like love capitalism and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it might be kind of hard to like overtake that group. Maybe a new society would start with like the younger generation, maybe. I don't know if that's completely true.
They're so like ruthless though.
Yeah, they're ready right now.
They're so ready. Like I don't know. I don't know how they would do it. That's the part where I get stuck on. I know that they can, and I know that they have the will and the way, but like, yeah, the whole like scared to ask for ketchup and like, you know, that
not
vibe.
Afraid of like, yeah.
But they're also
too polite, but also very aggressive.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how they would accomplish it. My theory is maybe they would just accomplish it through not doing anything. Like, you know, like we need young people. Yeah. Just don't go to work. They're going to just stop going to work. Stop going to school. Like, you know, maybe that way.
A worldwide
And then
protest.
how does society, like once all the boomers, you know, have to retire, you need young people in the workforce. And if young people just don't enter the workforce, you know,
that could be interesting. Then it's like, figure it out, guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe we'll dismantle capitalism completely.
We'll just watch,
not have to make money. That could be nice.
Okay, so the fall of society. I think that this is the time that Gen Zs are going to thrive. Just in the initial years, like after the fall. Because we know, like, we've all seen the movies. We know how it is initially. There's like looting and fighting and death and chaos, you know? And I think they're going to thrive in this environment. This is what Gen Zs have been waiting for. I think that Gen Zs will start like communes and safe communities. Where like everyone works together and like they share what they have. They're young. They're generally like healthy population. Like they're one of our youngest generations, but like they're not like children, so they're old enough to be like self-sufficient. So survival will be like easier for them than like the older generations. Looting. Most Gen Zs have been stealing from big box stores since they were young, so that's not a problem. We know how to do that.
Looting. Yeah.
And this time is going to be like the biggest relief. It's going to be a huge relief for Gen Zs because capitalism, gone. Work, gone. Debt, gone. Climate crisis, solved. There is no climate crisis. There's no electricity. There's no oil companies. Like, everything has collapsed. So climate crisis is finally solved.
Wow.
So this is the most hope that Gen Zs will see in their lifetime during this period. Just right after society has fallen.
Yeah.
We're thriving.
They are thriving.
Free. Okay. And now, when the dust settles, this is our demise. This is Gen Z's demise, okay?
Oh, God.
So Gen Zs have been brought up in an impractical world that is like so far removed from actual real life that we have no practical skills. Every issue that a Gen Z has had to face in their life has been structural and systemic issues, not actual real life issues. So they are prepared to overthrow structures. They are prepared to protest. They are prepared to yell at the boomers, to call out sexism. But like, once those are all gone, like, we have no more skills. Those are our skill sets. Like, okay, first of all,
oh my god,
food. How the fuck do you grow and preserve food? I don't know. Like, you have to learn growing schedules, how to like, you know, when you grow a food and then you take the seeds out and then you store them for next year?
Yeah.
We have to learn how to do that.
Oh, God.
You have to learn how to can and preserve things.
Yeah.
This is all, remember that this is all without the internet, too. Like, I could do this now. I could figure it out.
Oh, God.
But, like,
the internet's going to be gone, too?
Yeah. The society has fallen. There's no, like, electricity or, like, internet or...
Oh, my God.
So that's how we have to figure this all out. And we have none of these skills because we have all grown up dealing with different issues.
Yeah.
We've grown up in a little...
Oh, my God. A lot of people are going to die. We are not
This is what I'm talking about. This is when Gen Z... Like, they're not going to survive this.
Well...
Okay, so second, we need to slaughter, clean, deskin, and gut animals.
Ugh.
Do you know how to do that? I don't.
No, obviously. Okay, I think the whole world is going to go vegetarian. I don't think that that's going to happen. There's just no way that they're going to be
I don't know if, like, in cold climates, like ours, you can't go fully vegetarian because crops don't grow throughout the year.
That's so true. Fuck.
So you need to, like, I think we can figure out how to, like, kill the animal, which I think is going to be very challenging for a lot of people. But once you kill it, I would be like, what do I do next? I know that, like, I have to do something before I eat it, but what is it? And also, this is super embarrassing, but I'm not fully confident the parts of the animal that you eat. Like, what is meat?
I don't know. I think it's fat. I'm honestly not sure. I've never been able to figure that out either. Is it muscle?
What part of the body is it?
I don't know. Why is there meat around ribs?
The whole arm off?
Why can you eat ribs? I have no idea. Just bite into the arm? Then what are you eating?
It doesn't feel like there's, like, stuff on top of my ribs or in between my ribs.
So
what is it?
Is it like tissue? Like, I'm not really sure. It's just meat.
Yeah, so
it's so sad.
We would fail that one too.
Yeah, that would not go very well for anybody. We'd all be iron
We'd just
deficient.
have a bunch of dead animals, and then we'd be like, okay,
now what? I've seen people like cook animals over like a pig roast, for example, where they just put the entire pig and then just cut into it. I feel like you have to take
the guts out before you do that. And how do I do that?
Oh, through the butt.
Through the butt. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you cut open the belly and like
and like scoop them out,
evacuate it. Yeah.
Oh God, that's so nasty.
I think that's what you do with like fish.
Really?
See, guys, this is a real post-apocalypse conversation going on. This is how it's gonna go down.
I'm like, no, you do it through the butt for sure.
Just reach in, pull it all out.
Fuck. Oh God. That's so God, we're not gonna survive. We're gonna choke on fish ribs and fucking ew. That's gonna be so nasty. I really don't want to do that.
Me neither. All right, so the next thing that we would need would be shelter. Which honestly, I think we'll be fine with this one. I think we'll figure shelter out. We'll have homes still, you know, like they won't totally disappear. And, like we can like figure out how to build a structure.
We can like put stuff together. We've seen those YouTube videos of those guys building the pools
in the forest.
For like 12 hours, so we can just kind of emulate that.
Experts.
Yeah, exactly.
So shelter, I think we're okay on that one.
Maybe we can figure that out.
Check on shelter.
Yeah.
We can figure it out. So the next one is water. Okay.
Oh no.
And like most of us have grown up, you know, once again, I'm talking about Western world, colonial population. Most of us has grown up drinking some of the cleanest drinking water in the world. Ooh. We have little baby systems.
I don't think our bodies will be able to.
I think a lot of us will die from waterborne illnesses really quickly.
Shit.
Because like I don't think we can like I don't think we have any resistance to any of that stuff anymore. So if we were just to like drink water fresh out of like the stream, like people should be able to do because we're like fucking humans, you know? We're supposed to be able to like drink water and
just drink water
in the wild.
Water should be okay, yeah.
I think we would.
Those little parasites would probably kill us. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have resistance to that stuff anymore.
The only other option is to like make a water filter. But does anybody know how to make a water filter?
Yeah, and like I guess you could like boil water, but I still would foresee
then we have
a lot
to make
of people.
Fire.
Whole other issue. I didn't even add that to my list, but that's a good point.
What are we gonna do without fire? Oh my god, how are we gonna cook things? Jesus Christ. And we can't buy like water purifiers off Amazon. And even if you can, they run out eventually. Like eventually we'll have to try to figure something out with like just nature and just water.
Mm-hmm. And this is where we're going to run into issues once all of our looting days are over.
Yeah, we're going to run out of canned foods. We're going to run out of water bottles. And then you have to drink from the stream.
And then a lot of us are going to die.
Yeah, probably. I can just imagine like a bunch of people like throwing up and pooping and then just like dying like 3 days later. Just because the water is probably going to be... What about the bathroom? Do you have the bathroom on the list by any chance?
I don't, but that one I think you can just dig a hole.
Yeah, maybe. But wouldn't it contaminate the water?
You wouldn't put it in like the stream. Like put it far away from the stream. Guys, no hope for us.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely nowhere near the actual stream. We'll just have a stinky mountain where everybody digs holes.
Stinky mountain. We'll just reserve one mountain. If you gotta go, you gotta go there.
Go and try to dig a hole where someone hasn't pooped before. And if you dig into someone's poop, that's your business. That sucks for you.
We don't talk about that.
No.
Keep it to yourself.
That's one of the hidden secrets. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So my next one would be making clothes and furniture.
Ooh.
Now, COVID helped us a little bit because people have hobbies now, and they're like, like I'm crocheting.
Yeah.
We can make things, but I was thinking about this, and I was like, most of our hobbies rely on capitalism because, like, I don't know how to make yarn. I don't know how to make fabric or tools or nails, and those things you need to do your hobby. So I can crochet once I have the yarn, but like, what do I do when the yarn runs out? I can't make any more clothes. Like, that's it.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know how to make yarn either. I think they make it using those like giant spinster weavy things. So,
but then
our
we would
next
need
move
like
is
a
to
fiber.
make one of those.
What's the fiber? Like, we would need to make a fiber. I guess have sheep, shear the sheep.
Yeah, and now we have to learn how to shear
it.
sheep. Yeah, and spin the sheep wool.
Okay, you know what? I'm feeling like this is a rational solution.
So. I think there might be other people who know more about shearing sheep and stuff like than we do. Maybe the young farmers of Gen Z. But there's
maybe.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Maybe the young. I guess
They'll
are still
be
young farmers.
The leaders of the new society. If there will be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're also against leadership.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we could survive that one. Maybe we could survive
solid
the
maybe
issue. Solid maybe. We'll put it in the middle on the maybe list.
Okay.
Okay. Medical care is my next one.
Okay.
We're all too young to actually be doctors. No one here is a doctor yet. And so I think Grey's Anatomy is suddenly going to be an asset. Y'all, if you watch Grey's Anatomy,
Grey's Anatomy is going to be an asset.
Like that's going to be the new med school. You're going to like show up at the commune and there's going to be a little quiz and one of the questions is going to be, did you watch Grey's Anatomy? And if you check yes, they're going to be like, your new job is a doctor.
Whoa.
That's just my prediction.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because like,
no, yeah, I have
what
no
happens,
idea. I don't know. I'm thinking about like the traumatic spoiler alerts for Grey's Anatomy episode with the plane crash where like everything just like falls to shit and then they have to like feed a tube, like a random ass straw or something into Sloane's lung because he had fluid buildup or something like that.
Oh yeah, because his lung collapsed. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, and then they like open him up and
where they're like, I'm sorry, this is gonna hurt. Yeah, and then they like shove it. See, I'm ready.
Yeah, but do you know where the lung is?
You have to go under.
You have to go through the back,
which
right?
rib? No, it's between two ribs.
Oh,
you like cut an incision, and then you stick like a hollow thing in it, and it reinflates the lung.
Yeah. Wow, nice. Then do you have to keep the hollow thing in it to keep the lung inflated? Or
I don't know the next step after that, because now you have a hole in your lung. Like, what
people
do you
just
do?
living with the hole. People just live with like a straw sticking out of their ribs.
Gonna come to our commune, like a bunch of people are just gonna have straws sticking out of them. Maybe like it's been 5 years. Still have a straw. Okay, hold on. This is another thought, guys. We gotta bring the plastic straws back. Paper straws are not going to hold up in the human body for very long.
No.
You don't want that shit in your lungs.
Really quickly. Plastic straws, wow. Who would have thought? Maybe right now they're the death of us, but...
Metal straws would work. Let's get on those metal straws.
Metal straws would work amazing. Yeah.
Robust.
Or like the robust plastic straws that you get from like Starbucks cups. Like those could work as well.
We need some good plastic and metal straws out here.
Yeah. For medical purposes.
Purely for medical purposes. All right, and then the next one I have is leisure. Like, what do we do, guys?
I don't know if there's going to be leisure.
I think there will, though, because, you know, I always read all these things that, like, hunter and gatherers only worked 15 hours a week.
Oh, interesting.
Right? And we're kind of going back to that life where, like, we don't have jobs anymore. There's no internet.
Oh, God.
There's no, like, hobbies that exist now. Like, I don't... You know, you can't go for a drive.
Capitalism.
You can't go get food.
Exercise is like hard because
you wouldn't
need
to
have
exercise.
Enough food.
Yeah, and like I feel like your life would be active enough that you wouldn't need to like work out. You know, you'd be like tilling the fields every day. So like you wouldn't need to exercise.
God, what would our hobbies be? Basket weaving.
Exactly. Like what would we do? So I think that's going to be a big challenge.
I don't know. What did people used to do?
What the heck to do? We're like, capitalism fell. What now?
Maybe we would start little theaters. I like to imagine that people would just play a lot of improv games.
Maybe like art. That's actually good. Maybe like people would do art.
Yeah. And they would like...
I like that. Make music.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cute. Nice. The fine little instruments. And like people would really get into like singing and like just ways of entertaining. Maybe there would be a comedian.
We'd have a podcast, but like it would be just live every week.
Yeah.
We'd be like, come to our podcast. We'd just sit and talk.
That could be fun. Yeah, it could be like an interactive podcast too, where people can be like, I have a point to make. And we could be like, yeah, go for it. The stage is yours. The tin can is yours. And they're like, today I believe. Just using garbage.
All right, so leisure. Cute. Probably survive that one too.
Yeah, we'll probably be okay. We'll find a way to entertain ourselves.
And then the last one that I had was reproduction. Because I think this is an interesting one because like our young generations are by far like our largest generations that are not wanting to have kids. Like a lot of them, not everyone, but I would say larger than most generations. And there's like less of a stigma around it now. So a lot of people like don't want to have kids when they grow up. And I'm just wondering like, how would this change once the world issues are like kind of eliminated? Would we reproduce enough, or would people still be like, I'm good? Because like personally, I think I would be like, I'm good, because without like an epidural, I don't know.
That's a good point. The birthing process.
But then at the same time, birth control.
People's birth controls would run out.
Yeah.
What would you do if you got your period? You just have to like sit in a hole for like a couple days.
Sit in a hole?
I don't know. Like what did people do?
I think there's like absorbent mosses.
Oh, good. Okay. We got those.
Solid. Like cloths. You can use like cloths and just like,
that's true. We'll just have to like figure that out. Okay. True.
Yeah, so that one is more like an interesting pondering point.
Yeah.
Would Gen Zs reproduce more or less once society falls? Because like a lot of people cite like environmental issues as like why they don't want to have kids, because they're like, why would I birth a child into a dying world? But what if the world isn't dying anymore?
The world is totally fine,
but
and there's a possibility of a new society. Yeah, that's true. So the death rates would go up really high. So it's like, then you have to take the chance of like, why would I have a kid if I'm gonna die? If it's probably gonna die, or if I'm gonna die. If there's like an 85% chance that like one of those two things is gonna happen, then is it worth the risk? It's kind of the same problem we're facing now with climate change, actually. So I guess that issue does not go away.
Same thing. Different day, same problem.
Literally.
All right. So, to conclude, we need to start collecting books. Okay?
Ooh.
Books are going to be our savior. You don't have to read them now. I know, like, gardening books and, like, water purification books are not, like, the most gripping things, but just start collecting them, you know?
You don't
might be good to
them.
have one day. We will need these. They will save our lives. And obviously, most pertinently, we need a fight to preserve Indigenous knowledge. I think that's an overarching theme here because we are not going to survive without it. Once society falls, we are gone.
Yep. We're going to be the first to go.
And you know what? We just, yeah. And they helped us once before, and we fucked it up. So they might not do it again, but, like,
that's a solid point.
This is an important step.
It's time to fix that relationship right now.
Yeah.
We need to work harder.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They're going to be
they'll be
thriving,
better off.
Living. Exactly. Yeah, they're going to be,
Fuck.
But we are.
That's so sad.
Yeah. DED.
Yeah. Maybe society would be better if, like, we all just died. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. That's a point on here. I was like, I don't know if they should help us. Maybe it's time for a change.
Yeah.
That's a point.
Maybe they should just watch it happen and be like,
I was like,
that's karma.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Things come back around, you know?
Yeah.
And
what goes around comes around.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it was, you know, it was our past generations, but it's coming back around.
Yeah,
it's coming back
okay.
around.
We get it.
That's fine. I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah, so Gen Zs might be like the Jesuses of our time. They might die for our sins, you know? They might die, and then they're going to trigger a revolution for everyone else. Society's going to fall, but then they will die shortly after. So,
yes. They will get to live to see the new world that they have created.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't have died in vain. Yeah, I guess so. The babies can be raised by... Oh, that'd be nice. Like, no AI, none of this, like, who's going to space shit. Like, we don't have to worry about those kinds of things anymore. It's just the basics.
Like, hang out on the beach.
Nice. Totally.
Go take a nap. Want to take a nap? Just take a nap.
Yeah. It's like there's literally just nothing else to do.
Go get food. It'd be so nice. So, yeah, that was my point. Straight opinion. No facts. Zero facts.
I love
None of those were facts. Don't quote me. I don't know that that's going to happen. Purely prediction.
I think those are solid predictions.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, welcome to the second half of the podcast. This week I'm back in class, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a lecture, I guess, TED Talk kind of situation. So do you remember from a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about this guy, Edward Bernays? So we had this episode about breakfast, and I was talking about this guy, Edward Bernays, who is the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud is like this philosopher of the time, blah, 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 whatever. So this guy, Edward Bernays.
Is he a psychologist?
Oh, yeah. He's like a psychoanalyst or something like that. So I think that's actually the word, a psychoanalyst. He kind of like discovered that field and made it a thing. So this guy, Edward Bernays, I'm going to like tell you a little bit about from the breakfast episode. He did this whole thing with bacon, and he sold a lot more bacon basically than was being sold at the time, because at that time people were really obsessed with having a light breakfast, and they didn't realize that having like a hearty breakfast was an important thing. And Edward Bernays sent out a survey to 1,000 doctors asking them if they endorse a hearty breakfast, and he didn't give them a definition. He just said hearty, and they were all like, yeah,
sure, whatever.
Sure, yeah, literally just get this out of my face. And then he was like, okay, great, now I have the doctors behind me. So he kind of like released that to the public, let the world know about it, changed the public opinion on breakfast, and now eggs and bacon is like the go-to breakfast food. And he was also the person who did these studies or whatever. He would pay people to do studies, and then he would frame them to make them look like they were independent studies. That was this guy's idea. Like that whole thing comes from this dude. And then I'm also
always question is like, when you buy like skincare and it says tested by dermatologists.
Yeah.
I'm like,
What
were the results? What did they think of it? Like, okay, they tested it. They used it. Was it good or bad? It does. The bottles fail to say that.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Approved.
And then, like, you look at the ingredients on the back, and the third ingredient is, like, alcohol. And you're like, what dermatologist tested this and told me that this is okay? Like, the dermatologist...
But the bottle doesn't say that it's okay. The bottle just says that they tested it. It doesn't say that they liked it, that they approved it, that they endorsed it. They tested it.
Like, great, awesome. I'll test it right now. Like, I'll let you know that it's not fucking working. That's so annoying. So yeah, all these lies pretty much kind of are birthed from this guy. Pretty much what I'm giving you today is someone to blame all your problems on, because this dude he was kind of low-key the father of capitalism, and and all our problems stem from capitalism, so we can blame all of our problems on Edward Bernays.
Amazing.
I know, I kind of love it. So I'm gonna rehash this kind of story also from the breakfast episode. I summarized it in a sentence, but I'm just gonna go into a little bit more detail now, because this was like what
I thought you just said you summarized a whole episode in a sentence. I was like, that is
yikes. That's not
good for our podcast.
I've tried to do that before in public settings where I like tell someone about theories, and it's so bad. I absolutely bomb it in like 30 seconds. I'm like, and because of CERN, things are going wrong in the world. They're like, okay. Like, it doesn't work. You need to listen to Courtney's 30-minute episode. In this time, which was like the early 1900s, this is kind of like a prime example. Like, the bacon is a good example of how manipulative this guy is, but this story is, it literally blew my mind. Like, I was listening to it yesterday and I was like, holy fucking shit, like, this is crazy. So in the early 1900s, cigarettes were only a man's thing, and it was not socially acceptable for women to smoke cigarettes in public. I mean, I don't know about in private. They just said in public. And Edward Bernays was put onto this job because they realized that his psychological like manipulation tactics were so good, and he used them on groups of people so effectively that he could change the public opinion about anything. And he needed basically to make women smoke so that they could get that market, so that it was all motivated by money, obviously. And these tactics that we're talking about are the ones used by Sigmund Freud. So he came up with these kind of philosophy / psychoanalyst stuff, where his theory was that humans are suppressing their inner bad side inside of them, or hidden irrational forces. And these hidden irrational forces are completely unknown to our conscious mind. And these forces exist unconsciously, but they affect our daily motivations. So before Sigmund Freud, everyone thought that people made decisions based on information. But Freud revealed that people actually are suppressing these emotions, and we actually make a lot of decisions based on these dark desires, he called them. And sometimes we don't even know the motivation for our own actions. So he listed these like hidden desires. Yeah, isn't that fair? And I was like, oh shit, like I didn't realize that this idea like came from him, but like you're secretly motivated by sometimes really dark things, right? So maybe we are all inherently bad, but we're all just suppressing it. So the hidden desires are sex, aggression, security, self-preservation. These are the things that he says all human beings secretly want, and it's just like brimming right underneath the surface of society, and like everyone's like about to bust, you know? Like everyone's about
I relate to all of those except aggression.
Dude, but
guys, I don't think I have an aggressive bone in my body.
I don't think I have like a lot of aggression either, but then I catch myself in moments of aggression and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
What are your moments of
aggression? Does that ever happen to you?
Okay, so
a moment of aggression. So let's say like a couple weeks ago, I was like pretty upset about something, and I had this like poster that was rolled up or whatever, and I like took the poster and crumpled the edge like a handle and then whacked it on the bed a couple times. And I was like, that was pretty aggressive. And for what? And like I'm a pretty mellow person.
Emotion. Like I think that's just an emotional reaction to a stressor in your life. I don't think that means you're aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
He later yell goes at me, I shake. Like I tremble like a little dog. Like
yeah. I know. Well, when you're being yelled at, I think that's something else coming into play. When you're being like yelled at and you feel like really scared, I think that's kind of a security and self-preservation thing coming to play.
Yeah, I see those ones.
Yeah. And those are kind of taking control of yourself. So later on, Freud goes on to like describe that these these hidden desires are more showing in groups of people than really in individuals. So he kind of describes like a mob mentality almost. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, I'll still show you like through this example of the cigarettes that the mob mentality of like feeling like self-preservation, security, kind of aggression a little bit, and a little bit of sex, all of these come into play in the cigarette example.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? So this is kind of what Bernays was working with, right? So Sigmund Freud is his uncle. Edward Bernays is his nephew, and they were pretty close when they were living in Vienna, and then Bernays moved to the States, and this is where all of this, like the birth of capitalism, pretty much happened, right? So his first project was to make women smoke, and he hired a different psychoanalyst, one of the first in America, who was also working off of Freud's theories, and asked him to like look into this, like how can he make women smoke? And this psychoanalyst, you may or may not love this, Courtney, told him that women see cigarettes as a symbol of a penis and a symbol of male sexual power. Because it was only dudes who were smoking. And they, I guess, were being kind of cocky about it. And so to challenge, and in this time, like, the women wanted to have rights. So
oh my God.
It's so crazy. Such a crazy thing to want. I know, right?
Oh
what the
God.
fuck? You want rights? Get out of here.
Girl.
So if he could challenge male power, then women would have their own penises. And it's just interesting that, like, this psychoanalyst was like, women want their own penises. Like, that's what women want. Like, I mean, really, I think what they wanted was equality. But he was like, they want their own
the voting rights.
penises.
Like,
yeah, literally.
I don't think penises were on the top of their minds.
No, I mean, it was just about like being equal and having equality. It's fine if they have their vaginas. I don't know if anyone actually, I don't know, whatever. So Bernays, what he did in order to put this theory to the test was he organized a parade, and then he told a group of suffragettes. Yeah, he organized an entire parade, and he told this group of like 10 women to hide cigarettes in their like coat pockets or whatever, and then light them up together at this certain time as an act of protest. And then he told reporters that there would be women lighting up as an act of protest. And then he fed them this line: cigarettes are the torches of freedom. And he fucking got this shit on the front pages of like every newspaper because he hired the journalists, he hired the women to do the thing. He made this whole parade, this whole shebang, and he made it look like an act of protest. And he sold, this was kind of the first time where someone sold the feeling versus the actual product. So now we do this a lot where like every single fucking ad is targeted at your emotions or targeted at one of these like 4 kind of like secret desires. So he basically sold the feeling that cigarettes make a woman powerful and make her intelligent, and she can be just like a man and she can smoke too. And I
love it and I hate it.
I mean, like, right? It's so smart. It's so smart. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, you fucking asshole.
Just hijacking feminism, but whatever.
Totally using it for his own good. Ah, man.
A man is hijacking feminism to sell women things that will give them cancer. Like,
yo.
But also, like,
big T.
I also, though, at the same time, do resent the fact that men could smoke and women couldn't. So, like, I appreciate it a little bit, but I also, like, hate it so much.
It's such a conflict of interest. It is. It's so hard to be like, oh, you suck, but also, like, cool, because was it a move for equality? Or was it low-key motivated by money? Like, it was. It was both of these things.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's a hard one, eh? So... yeah, I mean, that's these 2 stories. Like, he did a lot of other shit, which I'll get into too. But these 2, I feel like it's just like you're the father of capitalism. Like, okay, you did the mentality. Yeah, you fucking did it. And then the mentality around consumption before Edward Bernays came onto the scene was a mentality that not a lot of us are familiar with today, which is buy only what you need. Only the necessities. I don't know.
What does that even mean?
You can't just buy what you want. And like the crazy thing is that today we see buying what you want and giving into your desires as like a symbol of power. We're like, wow, that person can buy whatever they want. That is so amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's all fake. It's all created by this guy. This guy instilled this mentality into us that we need to buy what we want. Really, during this time, people only bought what they needed. People only bought the necessities. One car was needed. Things served their purpose, and it was good. One pair of shoes, one winter coat. You have 2 hats, one fancy, one not fancy. You have the same 6 dresses that you wear every week, and like you do your laundry once a week, and you're good to wear them for those. If you're a man, you have like 3 suits and like 1 pair of comfortable clothes that you wear around the home. You know what I mean? And like only when those things were completely used up was when you could buy more, because then it was totally acceptable. So this really worried the production companies at the time, because it had turned into such a big industry where people were producing and producing and producing that they were afraid that people weren't going to need things anymore, or they were just going to need them at a slower rate. And eventually they would buy enough, and I mean, like, they would just slow down, and shopping for clothes was only needed like once a year, twice a year, maybe a little bit more if you have kids, but either way, like, you're doing hand-me-downs and stuff like that. So Bernays steps into the picture, and he represented a whole fucking shit ton of people. He represented a bank, which opened the first chain stores, and then he represented the chain stores. And his job description was to create the new consumer.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So he was told to train people to desire what they don't need, and that their desires must overshadow their needs. So to create this new consumer, he did like a bunch of shit, which is brand new at the time, but to us, it's totally useful strategies for advertising. He linked products to movie stars. He showed the movie stars wearing things in magazines. And then the turning point in like fashion, I think, which is, I fucking hate this so much, but like, it's so smart, but like, I hate it. Okay. So he aired this fashion show on TV, and he like invited a bunch of people. Like, he was big on these like big events, parades, whatever, huge shebangs. I love that word today. So he addressed the public. He showed this woman, this actress, addressing the public and talking about the psychology of dress. And she said, and I'm gonna quote her on this one: "You all have interesting characters, but some are hidden by your clothes. I'm sure you're all interesting, but when you're walking down the street, you all look the same. The psychology of dress is expressing yourself through your clothes. Bring out things that are hidden. You bought this not just for need, but to express your inner self to others." And like,
this is such a mindfuck.
Isn't that so fuck? I hate that. I hate that so much, because today, literally, like, that is the whole point of fashion, is to express yourself.
Yeah.
And this idea all came because they didn't want production to stop. They just didn't want like the economy to slow down. You don't need to express yourself through your clothes. People used to express themselves even in the 1900s, but now it's like the only way we can express ourselves is like through clothing, and we're so encouraged, and it's such a culture, and it's like if you have boring clothing, then you need to up your style, and it's always about your personal style, your personal style, your personal style. It's not always like that. It hasn't always been like that. And it's so crazy. So I know this motivation, like, was this a self-preservation motivation? Was this like a security motivation? I was thinking that maybe jealousy kind of played into it, because we see other people doing it, realize it's cool, and we want to jump onto the bandwagon or whatever. And
or
then
just like the fear of not being the outsider, you know? I could see that as being like security, self-preservation, like... Mm-hmm. Yeah,
100%. And then there was also like this clip in this thing I was watching of this girl who like wore a short skirt for the first time, and this guy was like, why are you wearing that? And she's like, well, like, there's just more to see. And he's like, yeah, but what does that do for you? And she's like, it makes you more attractive. And these are the shit that they would play. It's like this woman surrounded by men, and this was like an advertisement. And they would be like, yeah, like, more to see, like, wow, like you're wearing like different clothing, like you really stand out, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Yeah. And like the fast fashion problems that we're facing today, and like all the people suffering from fast fashion and the planet suffering from fast fashion stem down to this dude telling us to express ourselves.
That's why we have language, guys. That's what language is for, to express yourself.
Yes. We don't need to express ourselves in every single thing that you can visually see. And like, it's just crazy, because now we have so many clothes, but nothing to wear. Mm-hmm. People used to have 5 outfits and always look stylish. Like, if you look back on photos of people, I would always be like, what a cute outfit. They would have literally
how many days do I file through all of my clothes being like, there's nothing here. You can't wear anything.
Literally. And now, like, we're stuck in this thing where no one has money because we buy crappy clothes we wear twice, and then we spend more because the trends have changed, or because the clothes are now, like, completely useless. The things aren't as high quality anymore because people need to express themselves so badly. Oh, man. He would have been either so proud or so horrified at how far we've come.
He sounds like the Bezos of his time.
Yes, I totally agree. And something interesting, actually, is that Sigmund Freud, his uncle, actually was not proud. And he did not approve, of the way that his nephew was using his teachings. For Freud, he hated the American way, and he would cringe and, like, turn away and, like, be like, oh, wow, that's like, about how Edward was using, like, his tactics and stuff. And he hated how money hungry Edward was and how exploitative he was. And when Edward Bernays asked Sigmund Freud to publish the books he wrote, Sigmund denied him until near the end of his life, when he actually needed the money to pay for medical bills because he had jaw cancer, and he had no other choice but to start selling his books and to start.
And his nephew wouldn't help him?
His nephew, I don't know.
I don't know. Nephew created capitalism?
Well, okay, actually, this was like a little bit later in this kind of area, but this timing was all kind of like rough because they did this whole huge thing up until 1929, and then the stock market crashed, and then in 1935 is when Sigmund Freud passed away, or 1939 or something. So Edward Bernays was actually broke at this time, so he needed to like kind of like publish the books and like sell the books and stuff like that. So to get a little bit dark too here, to follow in this little path, a lot of these books published by Bernays, like, you guys know what timeline we're in. We're like nearing the Second World War. So a lot of these books who Bernays wrote and were influenced by Freud's theories were found used by Joseph Goebbels, who was Hitler's PR guy. Yeah. And Freud, in his books, would talk about the frightening things that could happen when people are in mobs or large groups. And he would talk about these mentalities taking over, these 4 like deep, dark desires. And they would just completely be in like a groupthink scenario. And they would pass the desire onto the leader, and the aggression would be held for anybody outside of the group. And Freud wrote this as a warning, but Nazis were using it deliberately. And they believed that they could control people like through these ideals. And that's just what they wanted to do at the time. They also like hated democracy and stuff. They thought that was the fault. If they thought it was democracy's fault that there was a depression and there was a stock market crash. But yeah. So this kind of brings me to my next point. I don't want to talk about Nazis anymore.
Hold on. But do you ever think about like how different life would be without like one night of fun? You know, like 2 people just had like a night of fun, and then they produced this child, and that child single-handedly created the Holocaust and capitalism. That one person. Like, imagine how different our lives would be without him.
I know, right? Wow. Oh my god. Like, do you think someone would have stumbled upon capitalism at some point if it wasn't, if like Sigmund Freud, or if like this guy like wasn't a thing?
I think it was already going.
Yeah.
I think the Industrial Revolution was like the big trigger of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the marketing part was like largely influenced here.
Yeah, big
I feel like somebody would have figured that out.
Eventually, they would have figured out like,
but like the Nazi
mentalities and stuff. I know, like your ideas led directly to genocide. Yeah.
That's uncomfy for you.
It is super shitty. Yeah, it's pretty bad for him. So Bernays somehow managed to convince people that democracy, because people like love democracy, you know, because like before that everything was very much dictatorships, and they were like, we need a democracy. And he convinced people that democracy was only possible in a capitalist society where goods are at the center. So if, for example, everyone gets a TV, you know? And I guess this idea of democracy is that like everybody is equal and everybody gets a vote and everybody gets a say and everyone is a participating person, right? So everybody gets a wireless phone, then that is democracy. And that is directly inferred from capitalism. Is that crazy?
That whole like reasoning kind of confuses me though, because like that reasoning is also in line with communism.
Yeah.
Where communism directly rejects capitalism.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Everybody gets the same thing. Everybody gets a TV. The worker owns the means of production.
Yeah,
it's interesting how nobody was like, no. It's interesting how nobody in that time was like, there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
Not just like capitalism is the only way to have a democracy.
He was like a crazy freaking dude. He had this whole fair. He had this whole thing showing like how great America is like through products. And like, I don't know how he did it. I really don't know how he did it.
Like the Greeks, they created democracy. They did not have capitalism. How do you think it was created? Like,
people were brainwashed, dude.
Other ways.
People still are brainwashed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I think this is such an important thing to know, is that like how these things all came about and how we are functioning in the democracy that we have today, and like how everything started, because you can really realize that every single second you're kind of being manipulated and you're being told to like thought a certain thing. Like, I don't know. I think it's important to know. Oh man. So yeah, he a little we're getting there. A little bit closer to the end here. He said that by constantly triggering people's deep desires and then subduing them by giving them products, leadership can go on to do what they need to do. And the people's dark desires have been subdued, and like they have been pacified. This is
like a rebranded Marxism.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like the
the
working class is distracted
yeah,
and can't come together to overthrow the people in power. Like they're subduing the working class with products so that they can go and do what they need to do. This is rebranded Marxism.
Oh my
the Marxist theory.
God. Yes.
Daddy Marx, I'm telling you, Daddy Marx is in everything.
He really is. That's so crazy. And he did come before these dudes. So, I mean, I can probably with 100% certainty say that Sigmund Freud probably did read Marxist theory and, like, probably got a lot of his ideas kind of from this situation, 100%. Yeah. So, yeah, good old Eddie Burney and Uncle Siggy created the framework for capitalism. And now you have someone to throw your anger at.
Thank you.
Yeah, it just hasn't always been like this. And like, you don't need to buy stuff all the time. You don't need to keep up with the competition. I mean, I know like you do feel like you need to because of these dark desires brimming at the surface of your unconscious. Yeah, it's just like, in the end, Freud was not happy with how things turned out and how his research was used. He was super pessimistic towards society. He would often retreat to his little place in the Alps that he owned, because he lived in Vienna, so he was, I don't know what the Alps are, mountains. So he would be living there on his own, like, and then eventually he had to like escape because of the war, and then he passed away, and he passed away like really unhappy with how things turned out. He was upset that there was like no escaping society, because he felt like people would always be discontent because they were forced to suppress their animal desires. And he was disappointed, and it's kind of interesting because he was disappointed in his nephew, and then Bernays was like proud of his work for certain actions that he did, like for example, he brought politicians to the level of celebrities and made them more accessible and made people, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it made them,
that's how Trump was created.
Yeah, low-key, yeah, oh fuck, but I guess it made people more participatory and more aware of politics, so it could be a good thing in some cases, but otherwise, like after the war, he was generally also disappointed in how his ideas were being used for propaganda and for control. So, kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I also, at the same time, don't really, like, get why he would publish all these books and all this knowledge. Like, I like that he did, because otherwise we wouldn't have this talk and we wouldn't have this conversation, like, without the fact that he did publish so many books. But, like, they only thought that these ideas could be used for positive things. And it's like, there's such strong ideas. And if you can do like a positive thing to a group of people, which is like, for example, causing all women to start smoking,
Yeah.
That's a lot of power. Like, how can you not foresee that it's going to be used for evil?
Yeah.
It's especially Freud. 100%. Like, well, Freud knew the whole time. Bernays was like, no, it's fine. Let's just keep doing it. I know. So in the end, I think that as powerful as Bernays was, he actually was also chasing those like deep desires and motivators.
Yeah.
He got caught in his own trap.
He was not self-aware enough.
No, he wasn't as pessimistic as his uncle. Maybe he should have been. Maybe he wouldn't have published those books.
Here's a hot take. Sigmund Freud is a Gen Z.
He might be. He has a lot of problems.
Disappointed in society, knows that everyone's discontent, withdrew himself, wanted to overthrow the current world order, thinks that everyone needs to return to like animal instincts. I don't know. It's just a thought. Very self-aware.
I love that. Yeah, he was super self-aware. He knew what was going on, and he knew about the mob mentality, and he knew about like everything. And yeah, for Bernays, it was just like never enough. He just kept chasing it, and like same. And like nothing is ever enough for us.
And now we go to a 9 to 5.
Yeah, we go to a 9 to 5, and we love to buy things, and it's never enough. Like we're always on the search for more clothes. We're always on the search for something new, something interesting. And now we just kind of live like this dude used to live. Like he literally just got caught in his own psychological trap. Yeah.
Whatever.
On that deep note.
Fuck him.
That is all. I wanted to tell you guys about Mr. Bernays and about all this shit.
I've never heard of him.
Me neither. I was like, so cool.
History's done a good job at covering that one up.
Yeah. Yet he has so many books. So many books out about like the things that he did. And yeah. Oh yeah. And I should source this. So this maybe like 70% of this information was from this movie on YouTube called Happiness Machines. So yeah, if you want to look it up, it's like 48 minutes long or something like that, and it's pretty interesting. It like goes into other ideas about like the stock market and like a little bit about the depression and like all this kind of stuff, but that was a little bit irrelevant for me. And it goes deeper into World War II too. If you want to know more about that, you can definitely like look into it. But yeah, it was a really, really good movie. It has like 1.8 million views, so maybe some of you have seen it. Yeah. It's a 5-parter too, a little long for me, but I just saw the first part. So yeah, so now you have someone to throw all your anger at, and I mean, yeah, no problem. And don't feel too guilty about it, because he feels bad about what he did to society, but like he doesn't feel that bad, you know, he still did it.
Yeah. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Blame him for all your problems. And Bezos. You can blame Bezos.
Yeah, too. And Bezos. I wonder if someday Bezos is going to be like, I fucked up. I'm so disappointed in what I did to humanity. I wonder if people would think it's genuine. Maybe at the time people didn't think that Bernays was being genuine about how he was disappointed in like what he had done and how he was ultimately unhappy with how his strategies were used. People saw him as a superficial.
The only way that I would see it as genuine, if like Jeff Bezos was like, oh, I fucked up, was if he actually like actioned to change what he did, because he has the capacity to do it. He has the money to fix all of the problems and more. So we'll see.
There is still room for forgiveness, Jeffrey Bezos, if you're listening. Which I know you are. I know you like this podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening this week, you guys. Thank you for listening to Courtney's opinion on how Gen Z is amazing but will not survive the fall of society that they perpetuated. And thank you for listening to my TED Talk about Edward Bernays and about all the stuff that he did for capitalism / against the world, because now we live in capitalism. And let us know what you think. You can find us on Instagram at very.unimportant.people. You can email us at hatersclickhere@gmail.com, and that's HATRS click here at gmail.com. And you can also find us on Twitter at VUnimportantPPL, and you can find us on TikTok as well. Please do your best to find us on TikTok.
We're waiting.
Yeah, we're still waiting. And that's all for us this week. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great